Hello, welcome to Roundabout-A-Story. My name's Dan. Today, I would like to tell you a fairy tale from Ireland called The Three Daughters. There was once a king who had three daughters. One day, the eldest daughter decided she wished to be married, so she snuck into her father's chambers and put on his magical cloak and wished for the most beautiful man under the sun. Scarcely had she taken off the cloak when a grand golden coach, pulled by 4 fine horses, pulled up at the castle gates. Within she saw the most handsome man she had ever laid eyes on, who whisked her away to be married. Seeing this, the second daughter also snuck into her father's chambers, put on the magical cloak, and wished for the next best man. As before, the cloak had barely touched the ground before a second golden coach pulled up. Within she saw the second most handsome man in the world, who was still pretty handsome. She hopped aboard the coach and was whisked away to be married. The third sister, not to be outdone, went to her father's chambers, donned the magical cloak, thought for a moment, then closed her eyes and wished for the best dog in all the world. As the cloak fluttered from her shoulders, a third golden coach pulled up, and sat within was the happiest, most handsome pup you ever saw, with amber eyes and the waggiest tail. She hopped aboard, and the coach whisked her away. Now, when the eldest sister arrived at her husband's home, he turned to her and said, "In what form would you have me in the daytime? As I am now, or as I am in the night?" "As you are now," said the daughter. The man nodded, and they dined and drank. But as night fell and they retired to their chambers, her husband transformed into a seal. The second sister was asked the same question by her husband. "How would you have me in the daytime, as I am now, or as I am in the night?" "As you are now," said the daughter. And she too found herself married to a man by day, a seal by night. When the third sister arrived at the home of the most handsome dog, the dog asked her, "How would you have me in the daytime, as I am now, or as I am in the night?" "As you are now," said the younger sister. And so during the day he was the most handsome dog, and by night the most beautiful of men. The king began to miss his daughters, so he invited them all, and their husbands, to a great feast. There would be food and wine, music and dancing, and great celebrations all round. But the queen was not happy, for while 2 of the princesses would bring the most handsome men she'd ever seen, the third would bring only a dog. The dog husband was scared to go, worrying what might happen to him, but the youngest princess ruffled his fur and told him not to worry. "Wherever I am, you'll be, and wherever you go, I'll follow and take care of you." After the feasting and drinking and dancing, all the daughters and their husbands went to bed. But the queen was feeling nosy, so she cracked open the door to each of their rooms to have a little look inside. In her youngest daughter's room, instead of a dog, she saw the most beautiful man she had ever seen. And in her elder daughter's rooms, instead of their handsome husbands, she saw 2 great furry seals. This was most confusing for the queen, and as she paced the halls wondering what to do, she came upon a pile of fur. It was the silky soft fur of the dog husband. She grabbed the skin and immediately threw it on the fire. The moment the skin touched the flames, there was a great crack that echoed through the kingdom. The youngest princess awoke with a start to see her husband with tears in his eyes. "Your mother has doomed us, and now I must leave you." And he leapt from their bed and ran from the castle. But the youngest princess had promised that wherever he went, she would follow, and so she ran, keeping him always in sight. As nightfall approached, they reached a house. He turned to her and said, "You spend the night within, and I'll pass the night outside." She entered and was welcomed by a kindly old woman who offered her food, blankets, and a good night's rest. In the morning before she left, the old woman gave the girl a pair of scissors. "If ever you meet someone ragged, snip a piece of their clothes, and they will find themselves clad in gold." Her husband urged her to return home, but remembering her promise, she followed him all day long, through bogs and rivers and over hills and mountains. That night, tired and exhausted, they reached another house. Once more her husband bade her to rest within, and he would rest without. She was greeted by a second kindly woman, who fed her and kept her warm, and when she woke the next day she felt refreshed. Before she left, the old woman gave her a comb, telling her, "Should you meet anyone losing their hair, draw this comb over it 3 times, and they will have the most beautiful golden hair ever seen." Again her husband begged her to return home to the castle, but she was steadfast in her promise, and so she followed him, racing across field and fen, valley and lake, until they reached a third house, with a third kindly woman and a third night's rest. Before she left the next morning, the old woman gave her a whistle and said, "Whenever you blow the whistle, all the birds of the air will come to you from every quarter under the sun." This morning her husband didn't beg or run, only told her that this day he would truly leave her. But for your mother, we might have lived all our days together. You see, I was enchanted by a fairy queen to live between the lives of dog and man. But if I had spent 3 nights in your father's house, my true form would have been returned to me, as long as my fur was not thrown onto a fire. Should that happen, I would have to go to Land of Fairy and marry the fairy queen herself. I am so sorry. And before she could ask whether the enchantment compelled him to just leave his skin lying around in a corridor, he pulled a bulrush from the ground and disappeared into the earth. The princess had made a promise to follow him wherever he may go, so she pulled the bulrush too and was sucked down to the Land of Fairy after him. She found herself not far from an elegant castle of ivory and glass, by the house of a washerwoman, who said that she could stay in exchange for helping her wash. So, while the princess was washing clothes, the fairy queen and her husband were married. Nearby lived a henwife, which is an old word for a person who keeps hens and chickens, who had 2 daughters. That day the youngest of those daughters was playing by the house of the washerwoman. Her clothes were ragged and poor, and taking pity on her, the young princess took her magical scissors and with a snip transformed the child's rags into shining gold. When the henwife saw what had happened, she went to the fairy queen and said, "There's a strange woman in this place who will let you steal your new husband unless you do something about her. She has a pair of magical scissors unlike anything I've ever seen." The queen sent a messenger to the house of the washerwoman, who told the princess that unless she surrendered the scissors immediately, she would lose her head. The princess agreed on one condition, that she could spend a single night with the queen's new husband. The queen agreed, but before the princess arrived, she gave the husband a drink that sent him into a deep sleep, and by the time he awoke, it was the morning, and the princess had gone. The next day, the henwife's elder daughter was playing by the house, and the princess saw that her hair was falling out. Drawing the magical comb over her head, the young girl found herself with bouncing golden curls and ran home to show her mother. The henwife went to the queen a second time. "It's that woman again. She has a comb unlike anything I've ever seen. She'll have your husband, unless you banish her or take her life or something." The queen dispatched a second messenger, "The comb or your head," and they reached the same agreement. But as before, the husband was sent into a deep sleep and never even knew the princess was there. On the third day, you see this is very much a story of 3s, the princess, washerwoman, and the henwife's 2 daughters were out walking, when the princess decided to try out her magical whistle. Birds flocked from every direction to swirl around them. The princess beckoned one of the birds to her shoulder and whispered, "How can I get my husband back from the queen?" The bird sang back, "The queen's heart is inside an egg. The egg is within a duck. The duck is hidden within a ram revealed when the tree is struck. The tree is afore the castle, bristling with holly leaves, but only her husband can strike it. No other axe can cleave." The princess blew the whistle once more, and a fox, which I'm pretty sure isn't a bird, and a hawk came to her. She bundled them into the washerwoman's baskets and they headed home. Of course, the henwife's daughters told their mother of the whistle, and she ran straight to the queen. A messenger was dispatched and the usual arrangement was made. The whistle in exchange for one night. The husband was in his usual deep sleep, but this time the princess left him a note, telling of the scissors, the comb, and the whistle, and of the queen's heart, hidden within an egg, inside a duck, within a ram, inside the holly tree outside the castle, that only he could split open. As soon as he read the message, the husband took an axe, ran to the tree, and cut it with a single swing. From the stump leapt a ram, but it scarcely ran 10 paces before the fox tore into it. From the wound sprang a duck that flew into the air, but the hawk plucked it from the sky and tore it to pieces. The egg smashed on the ground, and with it the fairy queen's heart. And with that the queen was dead, the enchantment broken, and the husband was able to take his true form. And he and the princess lived out their days happily in the land of fairy. The end. We know that times are tough, and that's why these Roundabout stories are free for you to view. But if you would like to make a donation, then any support would be gratefully received. Your gift can help us deliver drama therapy to children and vulnerable adults who are really struggling at this time of heightened anxiety and isolation. You can make a real difference to the lives of people coping with trauma, disabilities, and challenging mental health issues. Thank you for your support.